Hi again, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper, and as you can see, I can't help it. I keep wanting to make these. I would make one every day if I could. This one is another paper doll journal, 1950s paper doll set. She is just too cute. And what I've done is I've used a vintage book with some beautiful vintage doily here with hand embroidery on it and this gorgeous tatting trim. And that is a lot of work, that tatted trim. I did some crochet down the spine there and kept it all intact. I matched the ribbons to all the outfits and the flowers, and I just love it. So I'm going to put it in my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com. You can go there now. And I don't have any tariffs on my journals because they are completely exempt, and I use courier services, so it gets to you nice and safe and trackable. So I'm going to open up this. This is a piece of a silk children's gown from an antique children's gown that was torn to bits. And as always, this is going to be my signature thing. I've put some magnets on the back of our little paper doll, and so that you can pull her off and pretend you are not a full-grown adult and play with the little outfits, because come on, who can't? It's just awesome. So let's go and see all of I believe there's 12 outfits with this paper doll, which is crazy. I was going to split it into two, but let's just go for it. So here's a beautiful little coat with a little leopard skin trims. Look at how sweet that one is. And this one, these were all cut out back in the 1950s. Or even the 40s. I've seen two different Google searches on this one, but look at this sweet little dress. Look at that little shawl at the top. Isn't that precious? Might be my favorite one. This is a little children's card game. That is the Boston Detective card, and that is from the early 1900s. And speaking of cards, here's another little card that my friend Stacy sent to me. The little elves on there. Isn't that sweet? And this is a 1950s book. Just the sweetest little image there of a child reaching for the sugar, having their little cup of tea. Some embroidery crochet on top of this children's vintage page. And in here, I have this beautiful vintage postcard from Duluth, Minnesota. Isn't that neat? From 1939, so during World War II, which I just love World War II pieces. And then here is just an antique. I know it looks like nothing, but it is an antique piece of paper with a little inscription on there. And I just thought it'd make a great journaling card. Now, that's another piece of hand embroidered work here. And here is her little night house coat. Here she is, either getting ready for bed or waking up in the morning. Look how sweet, even her little slippers there. Cute. Oh, I love it. I love it. And then back here is a little booklet, or sorry, not a booklet, page from an antique book, and it's a nature page, which is really cool. And there we go. And I'll put that back here. And then we have another 100-year-old Alice in Wonderland page. I had a few of these books, so you may have seen some of these before, but that is truly 100 years old. And there she is there with her long neck. And I chose this dress for this page because it kind of looks a little bit like the dress that Alice is wearing. So there we go. Let's call that her Alice in Wonderland outfit. And then back here is a ledger page with the hand stamped numbers on the side from 1880s that you can journal on as well. Handwritten antique paper down here. An early 1900s page here. Antique stamps there with the two princesses. An original 1950s postcard. Of course, everything in here is original. I don't use anything fake or digital or commercial. And look at this little polka dot dress. She just looks so happy in everything she puts on, doesn't she? She should be. She's adorable. And this is a 1955 stamp collector page pocket, triple pocket. And back here is a Pennsylvania napkin, souvenir napkin from the 70s. Little antique paper butterfly there. And more children's book pages and a vintage botanical page with succulents. And this one, that is the cloth of a book cover there that I turned into a little pocket. And that is a vintage data entry punch card. Isn't that neat? I love that. can journal on the back of that too. And there's one of Stacy's Maple Grove Dairy receipts from the 50s. And here is another little outfit. This almost looks like a little school outfit maybe. Her little tweed skirt and this beautiful little sweater and scarf. Whoops. Oh no. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to put that aside. That's me getting excited. And then this is a little Pacific World map from a vintage book. Again, more journaling space there and a vintage song sheet back there. A message to the fish and the moon on one side. Now this is a really cool outfit. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? Almost like a little nautical outfit. Nice tall one, all in one. And then I've made this journaling tag here out of an old box. Not an old box, it's actually a modern box, hence the junk journal part of it. And then this is just a great advertisement from the 30s for a modern washing machine. And a vintage flinch card from the 30s. And then this is a really fun vintage magazine page. You've got all of the cross stitch here, patterns, and you can order those. And then there is some deco foam. Neat. Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so next is some of this beautiful paper here that was in the back of it, the very old 1800s book. It's just so pretty. You can journal on that. And a 1956 My Book House page, just really fun colors there too. And here is a great little piece out of a 1940s magazine, Things to Make and Do. We've got another doll here, so we got lots of dolls. And here is one of my favorite things, a lemonade stand. My advice to my boys has always been never ever drive by a lemonade stand that a child is having and not buy and overpay for a glass of lemonade. Ever. That's my best advice to my kids. And then the first snowfall there, which is lovely, from the 1890s. And this is the 1940s photography book page from 1941, so that also during the war. Sweet, all different kinds of cameras for sale, and just some really neat things about a famous photographer of the day. And then you can flip that up and see the article underneath there, and a hidden journaling spot here. 1920s children's book page here. Look at that beautiful collie. And they've added antique paper on the front and back for journaling. And then we've got, oopsie, this is another great children's book page. It's boys going on the train, The Glorious Adventure from an antique book. Here's two more outfits. Let's get our doll back. There's a little top and a little skirt, and they are mix and matchable. Was playing with them, maybe I was playing with them and found that out. And then this is I love this. It is a moose, a bear, and a fox. And this is a great story. And that is a plate from that story from an antique book, over 100 years old. And then we have a antique perennials page, over 100 years old, and a vintage doily page. And then we've got this lovely little coat here for her. Don't know how warm it keeps her. Legs are like that, but that was the 50s. This is from the 1800s, and that's a beautiful, they had a fascination with safari animals. More doilies here. And in this little vintage glassine envelope are all the little hats and purses that go with this doll set that you get to have. And then in here we have her little summer outfit. Look how sweet that is. Just adorable. Could even be a bathing suit. I'm not sure, because they often do come with bathing suits. And this is another journaling tag I made. 1925 image on there. Love it. And this is from a vintage bird book. A Canada Jay and a Stellar Jay, and then 1968 game card, and another over 60-year-old Monopoly card, and a little milk ticket. And just a really fun cluster up here with some cross stitch, vintage, more vintage children's book pages. This is from 1920. Gray hair. Ooh la la. It's a great ad. I can definitely relate to that. And then this is just a beautiful 120-year-old page. I love the font on it. Hark, hark, the lark. You can journal all over that as well. And he's just cute. That's from the 1940s, How to Care for Children book. And this is from a very old 100-year-old book here, The Daisy's First Winter. And that is the interior spine of this book. And here's just a little waterfall journaling space I'd like to use with my antique paper, and a souvenir book there of the Queen. This is from the 1800s. Got a bird in her nest there. And then this is 1929, 59, sorry, pilot's log page. Just a really cool thing to have. And you can look at all the places that that pilot flew to. And then this is from the 1880s. Little, I put it on top of vintage paper so you could use it for journaling as well. Really pretty little windmill. And there's another one of these children's pages. And then this is from the 1800s. Those are boot lace holders. Very cool. So I hope you love this as much as I loved making it. Hyperstamper.etsy.com. I hope you'll subscribe, come back soon, and leave me a comment. Bye for now.